Welcome to the First Time Facilitator podcast. Whether you're a first-time facilitator or a seasoned pro, listen in for tips and tricks to make a bigger impact at the next workshop you deliver. And now, your host, Leanne Hughes.
G'day everyone and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Leanne Hughes, and I'm here to help you create unpredictable workshop experiences that predictably work. Welcome to tip 6 out of 7 of my 7-part mini-series leading up to an epic episode, which I'm releasing on Monday, where I ask over 20 facilitators to answer the question, hey, what's one thing that you wish you knew when you started your facilitation business? And so I'm just taking the opportunity to share one tip that I wish I knew before I started. And I've really been in this journey for, close to 18 months. So I'm no expert either, but I just want to sort of bring you in sort of behind the scenes to share what's gone in my mind, how I've adjusted, because it is a bit of a transition piece between working full-time for someone else and then doing things on your own. I know often when we work for big employers and we have bosses, we often complain about them. But I think Seth Godin said it best, the worst boss we could ever have is ourselves. And that sort of relates to today's piece. Now, also before I quickly jump in, letting you know that doors to my private community, I've got a founding members launch at the moment. So you can join. It's the cheapest it's ever going to be. Every time I open the doors, the price will go up. So if you want to lock in your monthly membership price, you can join the community called Show.Up, which is really for trainers, consultants, and facilitators who have their business and getting them better at scoring amazing opportunities by building up their marketing assets. Things like their email list, LinkedIn presence, but also relationships and being more strategic about that as well. You can find details about Show Up over at leannehughes.com/invitation. So yeah, I think I am in terms of me being a boss of myself, I'm a terrible boss. I can be kind to myself sometimes, but this episode is really about time and energy. And I think because of the way society is run, we go to school where you start in the morning and you play by the bell and you get dictated where you go. You go to university or trade school or get your experience in other ways. Then you hit corporate world where there's also certain expectations on the amount of hours that you're meant to work each week. And we see a lot of flexible work arrangements coming in, but I've certainly worked in organizations where presenteeism culture is real. And if you're not sitting at your computer, you are viewed as being unproductive. So knowing this, and this is the way that I've been brought up and conditioned. So when I left my corporate job, I remember that first week thinking I had to be busy 40 hours a day. I had to go through my morning routine, but now there was no commute, right? I was working from my home in my laptop, but I thought I had to be in front of that computer for 8 or 9 hours every day. And I was super responsive to emails because, first of all, no one was emailing me at that time. The opportunities were very slim. But then I was like, okay, I've got to cram this with coffee meetings and training sessions and keep busy. And what I have learnt is the importance of being fiercely protective of your time. I say this, I know this intuitively. Do I do it? Oftentimes not. I do find it difficult to say no because I do get FOMO. And sometimes when people reach out and want to connect and do virtual coffees now, I want to accept them all because I think I want to get to know this person. I'm genuinely curious about who they are. But at the same time, it's like, am I doing that at the detriment of pushing off other long-term things that I need to do? So a couple of things to help along with that, which again, know in theory, and this is an evolving piece. Going back to values and being consistent with that, I think it's really important that you recognize what's important for you to achieve in the long term. So if you are hopping onto all these calls, what are you neglecting? And at the end of the year, where you look back and think, I really wanted to write that book. I really wanted to start that podcast or create or package up one of my keynote speeches. I never got around to it. So I think that's key. Is what are your values? Maybe making them very visual. So they're by your computer or when you wake up in the morning, you know what they are. So when opportunities that come up don't align with what you do want long term, it's easy to say no. I also hopped on a really great call with Michael Bungay-Stania and yet a few other people there. We were just talking about things that we need to prune back in our lives. And this conversation came up about what we need to say no to and how we do it. And I got some amazing tips from the group. Michael talked about a guy called Kevin Kelly who said, if it's not a hell yes, like basically, okay, if you get an invitation and it might be next month or it could be in a couple of weeks, what you do is pretend that you're getting the invitation, but the invitation is for that evening or it's for tomorrow. So you actually bring that long term into the short term and you think, would I be over the moon to do this? Would I be overjoyed? Does it align? And we usually know. And if we don't know, it's like our gut will tell us, like, would I, or I even like to think back when we could go out and things are looking good for us in Queensland. We're very, very lucky with what's going on and what we're seeing around the world that our restrictions are loosening. I would even think if it was raining tonight and this was an opportunity, would I actually want to go to it? Would I want to get out in the rain to go to this thing? And that is, I think, is a great assessment of being able to say no. So everyone talks about it's got to be, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. But that's a cool strategy. It's like, okay, if it was in a couple of weeks, if it's in a couple of weeks, I bring it forward to either being tonight or tomorrow. Would I be eager to do it? Yes or no? And that's the thing, because when we forecast out, like I look at my diary in 2 or 3 weeks' time and it's like beautiful, like a blank slate. But what I find, like ever since COVID has come around as well, is like I look back at my diary and it's just been chock-a-block full of things. So like I said, this is an evolving piece. So I think consistent with the values is one thing, but also blocking your calendar. And Jenny Blake talks about this. She's got a free course. It's called Free Up Founder Time, which I've gone through. I have now just blocked off all of Monday and all of Friday. And it takes something pretty significant for me to unblock that. At least then I can start my week when not being so rushed. And like, I remember working in corporate, getting on a Monday morning, 8 a.m. meetings. It just did not start the week right. It just had me rattled. So my Monday morning is really time to just assess priorities, plan. Friday is wrapping things up. Again, I'll do usually I'll get some Zoom meetings. I'll go, okay. And, we've had a few virtual happy hours with the flip chart group, which has been fun. So just nice having that time. Even if I've got like a holiday blocked out and I've got one meeting on, it kind of throws me because I think I've got to prepare for it. Then I've got to actually get ready for it. Whereas if I have a whole day that has nothing, I can really get into a deep work zone and really smash through some things. So having a whole day just out is awesome. I've also put aside the hours between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Again, I will open it up if I have to do podcast interviews, but I like having that blocked in first just so I can get myself prepared and not give between 8 and 10, I find that's when I'm at my most useful. I've got the most creative juices running and innovative, all of that. I feel really great. So why not work on the stuff that I need to do to move my business forward? I think that's a common misconception people have of me, is that people are like, oh, when do you go to sleep? You're super productive. It's not like that at all. I'm pretty strategic with how I use my time. And I reckon in those couple of hours at the beginning of the day, I can smash out traditionally what would have been in a corporate life, a whole day's worth of work, because I'm not bouncing around to meetings that don't matter. I'm getting very clear on those values. But like I said, this is an iteration process. And every day it's tough. And it's really tough when you really like someone and you want to help them out, but you think, oh, but if I say yes to all these things, again, it can be distracting to what your overall goal is. So that's what I would suggest as my tip for today is, and look, this still applies. This applies for you if you work internally and not only if you just run a business, but being very fiercely protective of your calendar. It's up to you. It's like, think of a castle and a moat. Like you're the troll on the bridge, just stopping people from getting in. Really, you have to be that way. And I guess people, to counteract this, a lot of people hire virtual assistants or people to manage their diary for this reason. That's why a lot of CEOs and, they have these assistants who can say no, so they're not personally letting someone down. But we've also got to realize that if we don't let other people down, we're then letting ourselves down, and comes back to us being our own boss. We want to work for someone great. So let's protect our time and our energy. I hope this has helped you today. I can't believe it. Tomorrow is going to be the final tip, as well as the release of that epic podcast episode where you get to hear from over 20 facilitators from around the world, people who have facilitated for, and you like me, through to people that have run their facilitation businesses for dozens of years. So can't wait to share that with you all. Let me know what you think of this series, by the way. Shoot me an email, hello@leannehughes.com, if you're finding it helpful, or if you think you've got an idea, it sparked a question from you, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. And look forward to chatting to you on the last episode, which will come out tomorrow of this series. Again, if you'd like to join my private community called Show.Up, you can find the details for that over at leannehughes.com/invitation. Chat to you tomorrow.